Hello everybody, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. Thanks so much for joining me. It is Monday, December 26th. My name is Carol Garrison. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and have been working with Stampin' Up! Directly for approximately 10 years, but have been stamping and creating cards to share joy one card at a time for close to 30 years now. So I'm glad that you're able to take a few minutes out of your day and join me tonight. I realize it's the day after holiday. Hi, Ann. But hopefully you've had a chance to kind of rest and recover from whatever you did to celebrate the holidays this past weekend, if you celebrated them, and are able to join and just relax for a little bit tonight, perhaps. It has been a busy week, of course, with the holidays. We had some last minute changes at our house because we were dealing with moms and illnesses on both sides of the family. Hi, April. So we shortened up our visit with John's family on Christmas Eve by quite a bit and didn't do dinner or anything like that because his mom just wasn't up to it. She is getting better, which is good. It just meant for a quieter Christmas with her. And then my mom tested positive for COVID on Christmas Eve, so that brought to a screeching halt a large family gathering that we had planned, in part because of people that had been exposed and trying to get ready for a family wedding and things like that, and just not wanting to take any chances. Mom's in a senior living situation, and they are taking great steps to keep both my mom safe as well as other residents. They've kind of got it going through right now in their building, but they're taking real good care of them. And my mom has a bad cold. It sounds like she smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day, but otherwise is doing pretty good. So anyhow, kind of changes in our plans, but we got to spend quite a bit of time with Cece this past week, which is always a lot of fun. And I had kind of bought a last minute gift for her that ended up being her favorite little gift. It was a camping chair, so it was a lot of fun seeing her climb in and out of that chair and make use of that as well. And we did get to spend some good time with Joe, Jose, and Sarah, which was really nice to do as well. So I hope you all were able to somehow spend time with friends and family, however weird or strange or good it may have been. And we're going to move on and work on a card tonight that, again, is going to feature designer series paper because that's one of the things that Stampin' Up! Offers that makes it so easy to create these beautiful cards. And I'm going to show you a couple different layouts, and then I'll show you how to make that card. I do want to put one reminder out. This is December 26, 2022, which means that the July to December mini catalog is coming to an end, and there have been some great items on last chance, or great sale pricing on some last chance items. Some of them have already sold out, but you still have a few days where you can catch that. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, be sure to go out to your demonstrator's website or my website if you don't have a demonstrator. And it'd be www.carolgarrison.stampinup.net if you don't have a demonstrator. Otherwise, be sure to visit your demonstrator and check out those last chance items so that you can get in on the good bargains that are still available. And the other thing that'll be starting then is in January, we will have a new mini catalog as well as a celebration sale starting too. So I will share more information on that next week. Right now, all I can do is tease you a little bit by showing you the cover of the catalog. So let's not do that tonight. We'll save that for next week, and we can go ahead and get started on the cards. So let me just flip my camera over, and again, I apologize because you're going to see some of my mess, and my fingers probably, if you're really lucky, maybe you'll even get to see my ceiling. I think that transition went pretty smoothly here, so I'm happy with that. Just gonna check my Facebook page too and make sure that I'm popping up there, and I am. So I'm gonna catch myself live. We'll see how crooked I am with my camera positioning, but I think I did pretty good with just a quick minor adjustment here. And I believe we're ready to get going. Okay, so The card, I've got a couple examples of cards that I want to show you first, and then I'll jump in and show you how to make this card as well. This card is the one that we're going to make, and it allows you to use the front and back of designer series paper. For this particular card with the polka dots, it just begged me to use this cute ladybug punch. So I've got the Hello Ladybug stamp set and the coordinating ladybug builder punch. And that's how I created this one, using some of those silver metallic-y pearls. And this one just says it's a good day, and on the inside, may your greatest wish come true. So a quick, easy birthday card. But like I said, it just, the red and black and white and that ladybug, it just spoke to me on this layout. So that's one sample of the card. And then I used, figure out where to stick my stuff here, the He's the Man designer series paper, along with some of my favorite stamps, the Charming Sentiments, with the coordinating dies. And these dies just allow you to cut out these sentiments easy peasy. And so I use the He's the Man designer series paper, similar layout, and just die cut out this wishing you everything wonderful. Again, use some of the metallic dies, and then when you open it up, it just says because you totally deserve it. So again, another easy kind of masculine birthday card. And one of my goals for 2023 is to send out birthday cards and send them out on time. And so part of my goal in doing that is this birthday kit from Stampin' Up. It's the birthday card organizer kit. And so I've already put together and labeled birthdays for the whole year, just on the days that they occur. And what I will be doing then is stuffing these pockets with cards to go out in January, February, March. I try to do it a quarter at a time, but my plan is to keep this book, get it filled for like a quarter, and then keep this book handy in my kitchen area so that I can get things into the mailbox. Not just into the mailbox, but into the mailbox on time. I don't know why that's so hard for me. I, confession, don't even have my Christmas cards out yet. So anyhow, here's just a wishing you everything wonderful, camping kind of mail themed birthday card. If you don't have these Charming Sentiments with these dies, oh, make sure you get them. I've actually numbered my dies so I know which die they go with, and I've written the numbers down here, or excuse me, which stamp they go with. So I've got kind of a key, and it just helps me not spend a lot of time. Is it this one? Is it this one? But it's so easy to run these through and get that perfect die cut every single time. I've never had one of these I've had to cut twice. So quick commercial for that. All right, let me set that aside, and I'm going to pull the pieces out for the next card. I am actually using for this card the True Beauty stamp set, and then the Organic Beauty dies, which coordinate with the stamp set. This is in the annual catalog, and it's got gorgeous designer series paper that goes with it. We've had so much snow and cold temps and everything that I'm trying to make it seem warmer here than it really is. But it's on pages 66 and 67 of the catalog. And it includes the stamp set. If you get the suite, it would include the stamp set, the designer series paper, the dies that go with it, and then they also come with these pretty iridescent, whoops, pearls, which I just picked one up on my finger. Don't want that yet. Which are typical pearl shape, but they're iridescent, so they reflect the different colors that kind of go around it. So they're real pretty. And I'm going to be using the stamps. Actually, I'm using the stamps, dies, pearls, and designer series paper in this card. So that's just a piece of it. And then the other thing that I am using in this card is the 3/8 inch open weave ribbon. And I'm using the polished pink on that. That's found on page 146. And I think, oh, nope, the other thing I'm using on this is the Label Me Lovely punch, found on page 153. And I'm actually going to kind of create some layers on there too that I'll show you how I did that. I know you can't really see the punch with the glare from the light, but that is what I am using. So let's go ahead now and get started. Another one of my resolutions, hence all these post-it notes with the catalog, is actually being able to tell you and reference what I am using with the correct names. So it's the Polished Pink Open Weave Ribbon is another add-on piece. And our card is going to focus on the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So I've got a piece here that is 4 1/4 by 11. This card can also be done on the 5 1/2 by 8 inch paper. I just happen to have this piece already cut, and that's why I'm using it. You do want to score it at 5 1/2 inches if you're doing the 4 1/4 by 11, or 4 1/4 if you're doing the 5 1/2 by 11. And then we're just going to fold it over on the score line. And we will get started. So to make this card, what you're going to need is a piece of cardstock, like I said, for the card base that measures 4 1/4 by 11 or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. It doesn't matter. Either one will work. You'll need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then a piece of designer series paper that measures 3 by 5 inches, and another piece that measures 1 by 1 1/2 by 5 inches. And what I like about the Stampin' Up! Paper is so often you can use the back with the front and they coordinate. Not always, but the majority of the time, and you can get a real pretty combination of paper without really having to think too hard about it. And then last but not least, you're going to want a piece of basic white cardstock to stick on the inside of the card. This one looks like it's a little bit narrower, or yeah, smaller than normal, so I'm going to have a slightly bigger border. I just grabbed a piece out, but it can be 4 by 5 1/4. And then you need to punch out on basic white using that everyday label punch, this. And then I have punched out a second one in Blackberry Bliss, and I've cut it in half. And I've also cut out another strip of paper that measures 2 1/2 inches. Let me make sure I'm giving you that right measurement. It measures, I'm sorry, 2 1/4 inches by 1 inch. And that's just going to help me extend out the border so I can make it go all the way around. I'm going to clear off my camera stand from the first film, or first part of the video. Gives me a little bit more room on my workspace. And let me go ahead and show you how to make this card. I was inspired by Sharon Armstrong. She's a demonstrator from Texas who did a similar layout. I've actually changed mine up a little bit from hers by adding this second layer beneath the designer series paper, because I thought it made it pop out a little bit. But you could also make this card just directly onto cardstock. You just want to change your measurements to fit your card front a little bit. All right, so the easiest way to do this is, normally when I've used 2 pieces of paper, I've done this and I've lined them up. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and you end up with the seam. Well, one of the things that Sharon demonstrated in her video was if you just took your seal and ran it along one strip, you could then add it to this piece real easily. And she just suggests that you line this up where it is supposed to be, and then you can come back and put this piece down lined up where you want it on this side, and put it on top of your designer series paper that way. If you end up with just a little bit at the end, you can just, you know, trim it off. I'm so close I'm not going to mess with it because it'll make a bigger problem. And then to smooth out this seam, I'm just going to take a piece of my sheer ribbon and I'm going to lay it on here. Now I don't want to cover any of that green because I don't have a lot of that on there. So I'm actually going to put the edge of my sheer ribbon right on the edge of my paper, and it's going to cover that seam, but nobody's going to know that most of it is still falling on this. So the easiest way is to just run a strip of adhesive on the back, and I just take it, line it up where I want it, and then fold it over, and it's secured on the back of my card. And then I repeat that process on the other end. You really only need about 6 inches of ribbon. I think I went a little too much on that one. And then I've got it lined up where I want it without covering any of that green, but I have covered up the seam. So hopefully that makes sense. And then the next thing that we're going to do is stamp a couple of images. Actually, no, the next thing I'm going to do is adhere this to the basic white cardstock, because then I'm not going to run into issues with the ribbon popping or anything like that. And I usually will try to run a little bit of adhesive right over the ribbon. It just gives it a little more security. And then that we will center on our card front. And then we may as well go ahead and let's attach this. And again, make sure you're using a gentle touch with the seal, and you shouldn't have problems with it gumming up. And we'll center this on the card front. And I am using a sentiment from the True Beauty stamp set. I'm choosing to just use the Just Because. So I am not actually going to stamp anything on my inside piece. So I am going to go ahead and adhere that to the inside of the card as well. And just make sure that you get it on the right side of your card. All right, and that pretty much then takes care of the inside of the card. So now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I've already pre-stamped my Just Because, and I fussy cut it out just a little bit, and I've got it popped up with a piece of the foam dimensional sticky stuff, just to get it popped up a little bit on the greeting. And then I am going to stamp two images from the True Beauty stamp set. The first one is the floral image, and I am using the polished pink ink pad. Now this one is a distinctive stamp, so you're going to get different levels of inking. Don't be alarmed by that. I actually stamped this twice, thinking I had misstamped it the first time I did it here. And what I discovered is this spot is actually one of the distinctive marks. I don't think you're going to be able to see it on camera on the stamp, but it is supposed to stamp that way, so you don't have to worry about restamping it. All right, and then the second thing I'm going to do is the Mossy Meadow stamp pad, and I'm doing the leaves in that. And so I'm just going to stamp those onto another piece of scrap paper that I have laying around. And I always try to clean my stamps up using my Simply Chamois each time I've stamped them and I'm done with it, and that's because I'm prone to sticking my hands and cards and hard work into the wet ink, so we can get those set off to the side and not have to worry about that. And then I am going to go ahead and lay my dies down. I'm using the mini Cut and Emboss Stampin' Up machine. And one of the things I have found that helps me is when I line up my dies, I just take a piece of washi tape and tape it down. And then I don't have to worry about them moving at all. I just have to go around and figure out the correct, there we go. The correct layout. Oops. Hate that when you get it just where you want it and then you move it. All right. I'm just going to put that there, and then I'll grab my mini machine, and I just need to use the #1 plate and then the #2 plates. And one of the things, if you watched a video from a few weeks ago, you noticed I had some problems getting my plates through the machine. If you stagger your plates, I thought I had done that, but I hadn't yet. If you just stagger your plates a little bit, you're not going to have that problem. And I find that it works best to put your top plate just a little bit ahead of the bottom plates. So hopefully you can see I've got kind of a finger's width at the end of my stack here. And then I can just slide those through and it picks it up right away. None of that messing around like I was doing a few weeks ago. All right. And one of the things you're going to see when the new mini catalog comes out is there is a joining special that includes a mini cut and emboss machine. And the cool thing about that is the machine that you can get only as signing up as a new demonstrator is a blue, I believe it's boho blue, which is going to be one of the new ink colors. It's a little bit of a sneak peek at that. So instead of getting the standard white and gray machine, you could get one of these as part of your joiner package that's boho blue. It's a very pretty color. I'm kind of jealous. I'm not going to be getting it, obviously, because I'm already a demonstrator, and I'm choosing not to buy a second one of those machines just to get the blue. But it is something that you may want to think about and check it out when you get your catalog. All right, let's go ahead now and start assembling things. I've got all my pieces here. Now, I told you I had cut out the second one to add a bit of a border around my white piece, and that's just to make it pop a little more. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just add, I'm not stamping on this piece, I'm just going to be layering stuff on top of it. And so I want to center this piece so it hangs out approximately the same on both sides and is even with the two edges of the punch. And then I've taken a full piece of this. This piece was just a 1 inch by 2 1/4 inch piece. And then I've taken another one of these that I punched out of Blackberry Bliss and I just cut them in half. And so I'm going to add adhesive to the top half here. And when I'm doing this, what I'm trying to do is just get it to lay like this so that I've got an extension all the way around my white piece. I find that it's actually easier for me to center it looking down this way rather than just flipping it over and trying to get it on there. And so I'm just going to line it up. And again, I'm looking just to make sure I've got a pretty even border around it. And then I'll repeat the process on the bottom. And a lot of times you don't need to add that middle strip like I did, but on this one I wanted to make sure I had it going around my edges too. And so that's why I did that. Okay, so now I've got, hopefully you can see, let me flip this over. What I've done is just created a Blackberry Bliss border all the way around the white piece that I punched out. Okay, then the next thing that I'm going to do is, using my dimensionals, I am going to pop up my floral image that I've die cut. Along with my leaves. And like I said, I've already used a piece of foam strip on the back of my sentiment to pop that up. And let me just peel the back off, and I'm going to attach my flower here, and then I'll peel them off on the leaves, and I'm going to slide those in here, and then I'm just going to put my, oops, my sentiment down here. And I anticipated I might need to cut some of the foam backing off on this so that it didn't get too high. But I am actually just going to run this across the whole card like that, and it's going to stack up higher than even that one, if that makes sense. It'll kind of be 2 dimensionals thick. And that's just because I like it, and I really wasn't quite sure how that was going to look. But I do like it like that, so now that I can see it, I'm going to keep it that way. And then I'm just going to use seal to attach this medallion to the card because it is going to be thicker. And so I'm going to put that right there. That also is going to help keep my ribbon in place a little bit. And then I'm just going to jazz the card up a little bit with some of the iridescent pearls. I always have to think about where I'm going to put these. Maybe we'll put... They're not cooperating today, are they? All right, I can go back and do it my finger way. All right, we'll put one there, and then I'm going to grab 2 of the little ones. And put those just off the medallion a little bit. And that just gives it a little bit of decoration, a little bit of pop. And there you have it, the completed card. So it's just a fun one, great for pretty much any occasion. Let me pull back the first 2 that I had at the beginning here so that you can see those. Using the Ladybug, Hello Ladybug stamp, the He's the Man Designer Series paper with the Charming Sentiments stamp and dies, and then the Awash and Beauty card. And again, you can make this either 4 1/4 by 11 or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I just used what I happened, actually all 3 cards I used stuff I already had pre-cut in those sizes. So that's how I ended up with those. But the basic measurements are going to be your card base and then a layer of coordinating cardstock that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then you want your Designer Series paper cut at 3 by 5 and 1 1/2 by 5. And you could, if you wanted, even put your thin strip here. So your card look, pretend my sentiment is down here. It would work that way as well on any of the cards. I tended to put the less busy piece, kind of the background design on my left, it looks like on all 3 of my cards, but you could certainly change that up and have just this piece be your narrow strip. It's all how you want to do that. So there you go with my card. I hope everybody has a great week. This will actually be my last live for 2022, because when I go live next week, it'll actually be into the new year. So happy new year, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you in 2023. Good night.